Hey everybody, I'm going to carry on today talking about tailoring your offering to different customer groups and to when you have different offers. I thought today we might spend some time talking about the actual offer process itself. So what do you do when you're actually making an offer to a client or to a customer? And how's that different depending on who you're making an offer to? I'll do that in a couple of ways, both by providing some examples, and I'm also going to throw a link or two into Facebook when we finish that you can use as references. I will talk about a continuum of different clients, so I'm going to start at, if you like, at the easiest end, thinking about ourselves as clients and customers, what kind of experience we have when we engage in a retail environment. And we don't often think about retailers making offers to us because in most cases those offers are made to us in the form of a price tag or a really simple product description. But that's in fact what the retailer is doing when they put a price tag out, is making an offer. In fact, many of us have been to other countries where they don't put a price tag out and you have to ask for an offer and barter for and haggle for a price. One of the things that most of us have experienced in a retail environment or close to retail environment is businesses giving their terms and conditions at the same time as they make an offer. And the best example that I can think of here is if you think about the last time you went into a car park building, more than likely there was a terms and conditions poster clearly displayed at the entrance that told you things like what happens if you need to access your car at midnight, having waited until after the car park building is closed, and those kinds of things. And that's a good reminder for all of us that we should be thinking about not just our price and features when we're making offers, we should also be thinking about the terms and conditions that we're going to include when we make an offer. And that those terms and conditions might be different depending on who you're providing services to or providing products to. So we might, for example, provide different payment terms for larger organisations, for smaller organisations. We might, for example, ask for penalties to be applied if we're working with government, those kinds of things. If we work our way up from the price tag, very simple offer, most businesses, myself included, when we're dealing with other businesses for a service or a product that's worth more than $1,000, are going to expect something more than just a handshake and a price tag. We're going to expect something that's written down that says really clearly what work's going to be done, when's it going to be done by, how am I going to be able to measure whether or not the work was done successfully and completed. And we'd normally expect to see probably more than a poster's worth of terms and conditions, maybe a few pages of terms and conditions as well. How am I protected? How is the business that's providing the service protected? All of those kinds of things. If we carry on up the continuum, and later this month we'll be talking specifically about working with government. When we think about working with government, and the same applies working with a lot of large corporates, often there's an expectation that you respond to a tender. So the organisation that you're working for will issue what's normally called a request for tender or an RFT document that will tell you what they want to know in order for you to have a chance of getting the work. They'll also have some pretty clear expectations of what kind of format that should be in. So, and they're doing, if you think about the client's perspective for a second, what they're doing is trying to make their job as easy as possible to compare everybody that's going to provide a response. So asking everybody to provide it in the same form so that they can compare apples with apples. It's worth being aware, if you haven't worked with large organisations or government before, that when they ask you for a response for tender, you can expect that it's going to take a number of weeks or even a number of months for them to make a decision about who's going to get the work. Quite different than when you walk into a restaurant and buy a steak. The restaurant proprietor can expect that you'll make your decision within a number of minutes rather than a number of months. So what I'm going to throw up on Facebook in the next few minutes are a couple of examples. They come from the business.gov, Queensland.gov site. An example about how to prepare a quote, or some information about how to prepare a quote, and also some information about responding to tenders. So if you are thinking about working with government, what better place to go than Queensland Government itself and get some of their advice about how to respond to tenders. What are the things that you need to think about in advance? I'd love to hear any comments from anybody about how they've changed the way that they work with clients, and what do they engage with clients with. So have you gone from a 10-page proposal to a one-page proposal, or from a handshake to a couple of pages worth of proposal? I've certainly done both of those things myself when I've worked with different client groups. That's all from me for now, so I'll say goodbye and catch up with everybody next week and talk more about how do we tailor, not just how do we sell different products and services, but also how do we tailor the work that we do after we've made the sale. Catch everybody.